Should I buy it? All right, so a lot of our members are looking for ways to create other forms of income, looking at rental properties, short-term rentals, long-term rentals, also looking at businesses to acquire. So I thought it'd be interesting to do a deep dive into deals that I'm actually looking at as ways of doing this. So this first one is going to be looking at a real estate deal. So let's jump in. Okay, so this deal was brought to me by a wholesaler. I've been on his email list for years now, and this is the first deal that kind of popped up in my neighborhood that really caught my attention the last couple of years. Rates have been crazy, prices have been crazy, haven't really bought a lot of stuff, but this one piqued my interest. So it is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. It's just barely under 1,000 square feet, and we'll talk about that in a second. And they're asking $54,000 as the starting offer. I wouldn't recommend buying from a wholesaler if you haven't done this before. You don't have a team, you don't have a network, you don't have experience of like what to look out for, how to do closing, how to do title, do all those things. But I'm just telling you guys like a real legit offer that came to me, and we're going to dive into it. Okay, so let's talk about strategy first. So once this looked interesting to me, I reached out to the wholesaler, talked to him. He said they're doing a showing. That actually happened today. So I called my contractor right away and said, hey, man, I'll pay you to go over there, check out this house, and let me know what you think. Let me know what you think the rehab cost is going to be. So I just got off the phone with him. He thinks it's in the neighborhood between $50,000 and $70,000. I'm going to use the higher end of that cost just to run my numbers to make sure if we get into something fishy that we have the extra money to cover it. Now, in that $50,000 to $70,000, we're talking like this is a pretty big rehab. Those are pretty small numbers compared to LA. Like you could barely do a bathroom for $50,000 out here. But out there, in a smaller town, easier code, all that kind of stuff, this is kind of in the realm of possibility. So we're talking new roof. We're going to need a new electrical service panel. Probably going to replace all the plumbing because it's all galvanized. I'm going to take out all the wood paneling that's inside of this place, new cabinets, new appliances, new flooring, fresh drywall, paint, the whole nine. And we're going to put all of that in. It's probably going to be closer to $70,000. Probably going to take out a tree that has the risk of damaging the house for insurance purposes, and go from there. So that's our starting point. That's our plan. That's our structure. One of the things that we looked at in this, when I said we'd come back to that, just under 1,000 square feet. Being a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and about 1,000 square feet, you can usually find the space to squeeze in an extra bedroom. Right now, this property has like a really weird small bedroom. I think they converted a porch. So what we're talking about doing is actually pushing that wall in a little bit more, making that room a little bit bigger, adding a closet, and then we're going to have a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. I don't think there's enough room to do a second bathroom. I would love to make it a 3-2, but having that third bedroom changes my comps. So I've been going from $160,000 as an ARV or after repair value up to about $180,000 as after repair value. So finding those little tricks, those little things are going to help in our strategy of doing this, and probably will help in our purchase price to beat out competition if we have any. Okay, well, let's jump into the numbers. First thing I did was reached out to my hard money lender. Now, the reason I did that is because this property would not qualify for traditional financing. It's not livable. It needs new roof. Like you couldn't just go in and move in. So most banks, traditional financing, it has to be move-in ready. So that not being the case, we use what's called a hard money lender. It's a shorter time frame, but they allow you to do purchases like this. So this is a loan that's a fix and flip for a single family property. They took my name and the entity name off of here. Full recourse. So this means that like I am fully responsible for this loan. No matter what happens, I need to pay it, right? So that's one thing to take into consideration. They're going to take the house. They're going to come after me for whatever I need if I don't pay this off. Told them estimated after repair value was $175,000. I know the neighborhood pretty well. Purchase price, I know they said $55,000 on their docs, but I'm going to bump it up to $60 just to make sure. Construction budget, like I said, higher end, we're taking the $70,000 here. And then total loan fees and costs. You can see how they broke this out. There's an underwriting and processing fee, and then the broker that I brought the lender from charges their fee to get paid to put this together and find the right people. So total cost out of pocket for me is going to be $16,200. Now, that is about 10% of the purchase price and the construction budget plus their fees. So how this works is their loan rate is 10.4%, and they're only charging me the interest, but I have to pay off the entire loan in 13 months. So my initial payment, when we're just covering the cost of the purchase price and we haven't done a bunch of rehabs, we haven't pulled money for that draw yet, my initial payment that month is going to be $407. Once I pull the entire amount of the loan, including all of the rehab costs, our cost is going to be about $1,000 per month. So that's going to be my holding cost, not including like electrical and water and all that extra stuff. So they're showing you here, blended loan to cost is 90%. Rehab budget, they're saying, is 100%. Current ARV that they're doing, they're covering 66% of the ARV, and the max they'll go up to is 70% of the after repair value. So they'll fund this whole thing minus 10% up to 70% of the repair value. So every time I take one of those draws to pay for the construction, it's going to cost me $199. So what happens is we do a bunch of work. The contractor wants to get paid. We say, hey, let's do a draw. I get all the receipts, all that sort of stuff. They send somebody out to inspect the property, say, oh, yes, you have done the plumbing, you have done the electrical, you've done all the demo, all the drywall's off the walls. Here's, $30,000. We'll see you at the next one. But that each time that happens, it costs me $200. So we're going to take that and put it into our calculator. Okay, so let's look at this as if we're going to fix it up and rent it out and what those numbers would look like. We're going to use what's called the BRRR method. So we're going to buy it, we're going to rehab it, we're going to rent it out, we're going to refinance it, and we're going to repeat that process. So we're recycling our cash here. So got all of our closing costs in here, total project costs, like we said, $60,000 purchase, $70,000 for the renovation. And we said our after repair value is about $175. It's probably a little bit higher, probably about $189, but I was being extra cautious with here. For some reason, we don't get that third bedroom in there. I wanted to look at the rental numbers, and I want to look at the ARV of being extra conservative. So you can see our monthly rent in the neighborhood is an average of about $1,150. Now, we're going to have brand new appliances, brand new counters. The place is going to be clean. We could probably push that up past $1,300. Which would probably put us right at a break even with our monthly expenses, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be extra cautious and know, like, reality, worst case scenario, what am I getting into? That's how I always run my numbers. Okay, so we have our acquisition, our down payment, all this other stuff that we just went over across the loan docs. Now, this is the BRRR part. So when we go to do a refinance, most cash out refinances on traditional lending will give you 75% of the value of the house. So I can't go in and go like a traditional house like I'd be buying and put 20% down and get this, full loan. On a cash out refi, they will only go up to 75% most of the time. Sometimes maybe you can convince a lender to do 80, but like we're going to be safe on this, right? So 75% of 175,000 is 133,250, which is more money. Well, about $1,000 out of pocket. Than we had into the entire deal here anyway. So our loan fees are a couple of grand, amortized over 30 years. I'm saying 6.5%. I'm hoping by the time we do this, interest rates will be a tiny bit lower than they are now, but I think that's fair. And then with our PITI principal and interest, we're at $842. I actually put the insurance into this calculation. So what does that mean? So that means by the time we refinance and we're renting it for $1,150, our monthly cash flow is negative. We're actually going to lose about $200 a month if we're at that $1,150 number. Like I said, the $1,300 number, we break even, but we're covering all our expenses. We're saving about 5% for CapEx. I put 10% in for vacancy, which gives us about 6 weeks if we ever lost a tenant. And I put another 5% in for repairs. So those are kind of my baseline numbers, especially after doing a full rehab of like, we're going to have to fix stuff. The water heater is going to blow in 10 years. We want to be prepared to go down the road. A lot of people, when they start buying properties, just think that like, oh, if I cover the PITI, so like the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, that everything else is gravy. But you have to be able to cover all those maintenance repairs, all those calls for fixed toilets, all that sort of stuff. I also put 8% in here for property management. I'm not anywhere near this property. I need somebody to take care of it. I need somebody to get good tenants, sign leases, take care of calling the contractor, handyman, all that stuff. So that's about $92 a month at 8%. So as a rental, would I do this? As a BRRR? Probably not. It's losing, it's losing $200 a month. So let's take a look at it as a flip. Okay, so let's take a look at this as a flip. And again, I'm using BRRR calculators. You can find other templates and stuff online if you want to try different stuff. But theirs have been pretty good for me, so let's jump into it. So our ARV we're saying is $175,000. If we get this to a 3-bedroom, 1-bath situation, I think we're closer to 189. But again, I want to be safe. Desired profit. I'm saying I want to make about $30,000 on this. Would I be okay with 25? Yeah, totally. But let's see where we go. So purchase closing costs, again, we're about $3,000. I should probably change this to 3170, just to go from there. Let's go into rehab costs. So we're saying our repair cost is going to be $70,000. I put $650 a month in here as our general holding costs. I think that's going to be fair. I'm kind of thinking we'll just do 2 draws across this, and keep those interest rates down pretty low. Now, how long will it take you to sell and rehab the property? You can look at this in 2 different ways. I think it's going to take about 6 months to do all of this work because we're going to have to pull permits. We're going to have to do a bunch of other stuff. But then you have to get it on the market. You have to get it sold. And escrow takes time to get an offer. It takes time to get it sold. And if you want to wait till 12 months and 1 day, you reduce your capital gains tax. So instead of going from a short-term capital gains bracket, you go to a long-term capital gains bracket. So I'm going to put it in here 12 months and see what it looks like. So again, this is they're trying to run the numbers and what I can get my offer price in, knowing that I want to make $30,000 on this. So let's see what it looks like. This is telling me that my max allowable offer right now is $55,171, which is exactly the price that they're asking. And then we can see if we tweak any of these sliders, let's make it a little more realistic on what we think that number is going to be. At 185, I can go up to 64,000. Now, I want to be a little aggressive. We'll see what we can get into. If I'm okay making $25,000 and pushing some of these numbers, pushing them up a little bit, then, maybe I'll make my offer around $60,000 and see what happens. Repair cost 70, holding costs about $650 a month. We have our purchase cost, so $68,000 with our closing costs in here, our sale costs. So when we sell it, we do have to pay our agent. Now, the rules have changed. You can negotiate whatever you want. Right now, I'm actually selling another property with my agents out there at the moment. A lot of the agents in the area, if there's no other side commission for them, they won't even take their buyers over to it unless they're like 100% in and have a different deal worked out. So to be safe, I put 5% in here, and standard is 6, but I've got a long-standing relationship. You can negotiate to 5. It should be pretty easy. I'm not putting any closing costs in here because I'm going to have the buyer take care of those, but that's where it sits. So with $70K, with a $185,000 purchase price, or let's knock it down to our 175, I can go in at $56,000 for this offer. So should I buy it?